That was a struggle involving millions of people, which helped create the American middle class. All of you know the struggles of the civil rights movement going way, way back, way earlier than Martin Luther King Jr. and the modern civil rights movement, of people who stood up and were killed and were lynched and were beaten and were jailed for demanding that in this country we have racial justice and that we end racism. Think about that struggle that went on and is still going on today. Think about the women's movement, and the children don't know this. 100 years ago today in America, women did not have the right to vote, did not have the right to get the jobs or the education they wanted. 100 years ago, no time at all. But women stood up by the millions with their male allies and said that in America, women will not be second-class citizens. Now, I am old enough, and thank you for reminding me how old I am, but I'm old enough to remember that most gay people did not acknowledge 20, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, that in fact they were gay. And that radical transformation of society, where people stood up and said, you know what, we have a right to live our lives the way we want. We have a right to marry whomever we want, regardless of gender. Anyone here thinks that took place overnight, you don't know anything about history. You don't know the kinds of struggles that the gay community went through, the humiliations and the beatings, in order to finally get a conservative Supreme Court to rule that people in this country have a right to marry whoever they want to marry. If we were here, and this is how change comes about, and that's the point Elizabeth made, Catherine made, that I made. It's not from somebody on top. It is from people down below. I'll give you one concrete example. We are living it this moment. If I were before you 3 or 4 years ago, 5 years ago, and I said, you know, fellow New Hampshireites, I think we got to raise the national minimum wage to $15 an hour. If I had said that 5 years ago, people here say, well, Bernie, you know, it's a good idea. I mean, you're really dreaming, man. It's 7 1/4 now, and you want to more than double the minimum wage. That's crazy. It's too radical. It can't happen. Well, guess what? All over this country now, states and cities are passing $15 an hour minimum wage.